Booktube, it's Louise, the Big Head Bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day wherever it is you are and whatever it is you're doing. Hello, hello. Welcome to my little bit of the internet. Lovely to see you. Hope you are having a great day and that you haven't been enveloped in snow. We haven't been enveloped in snow. I'm actually watching the snow at the moment, but it's very wet. It's very wet snow. It's kind of got the prettiness of snow as it comes down, and it's just wet. It's wet. That's going to be fun to drive in about 20 minutes when I need to go and pick up the lad. Because on a Wednesday I pick up the lad after school. Yeah, it's very snowy. We're not going to get the snow because if you're not from the United Kingdom at the moment, you don't realise that we're having a bit of it's actually quite usual for kind of late February, early March that we do get these kind of really horrible cold snaps. Sometimes they can bring a lot of snow, and in some places, I gather in the next couple of days, they are going to get quite a lot of inconvenient snow. And then it's going to thaw good and quickly because there is going to be a good temperature rise. Actually, I wondered if it was going to hail then. No, it is still snow. But yeah, we aren't actually going to get it. We're just going to get the cold weather and the kind of inconvenient wetness. I drove in it earlier and it was just unpleasant, and it's really cold. I've made the husband put the heating up. He was not overly thrilled with that, but it's cold. I'm cold. How about you? Are you cold? A bit later, after I picked up the boy from school, I am going to go and put my full length kind of blanket on. It's kind of a big fleecy full length blanket. The only thing is, if I get a flush when I'm wearing that, then there's no quick exit. It's all hands to deck to try and get me out of there because I'm a menopausal woman. And if the flush arrives when I'm wearing that full length blanket, it's like, God, get me out of here, because you get kind of all claustrophobic as well. So yeah, there we go. God, I'm hitting all the high notes with the beginning of this. I'm doing weather, I'm doing menopause. And everybody stops watching. There we go. Yeah, so zero line action for the washing. Alan has been called into action this morning. The dehumidifier and the dry soonish is drying something which will be ready soonish. I have another load to go on there. That's what I'm going to be doing after this before picking up the boy. Yeah, it's all go here. All go here. But I'm going to have to catch you up. I'm going to have to do a few little parish news. Give you some parish notices. Not notices, parish news, what we've been going on, because I spoke about it last week. All of you's concerned, not about my reading, but whether the lad had a good time in Paris and whether we managed to paint his room. Yes, a resounding yes, and yes, a resounding yes. It's a double yes from me. Yeah, it was brilliant. So he had a phenomenal trip. He loved it. I think the trip that he took last year, where he went to Belgium and they went and they saw they went to Ypres. I'm saying that. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's kind of where the killing fields are in the kind of the Somme, and there's a lot of kind of sombre reflection. And I think there was a lot of history, a lot of learning, and a lot of sombre reflection. Whereas this was much more, we're having a nice time in Paris, and we're going to kind of speak French, and we're going to just enjoy ourselves, and we're going to eat baguettes, and we're going to go along the Seine, and we're going to stand outside places. He did stand up outside some lovely places, it sounds like, but he had a whale of a time, and he's completely in love with Paris now. He's come back, gooing about the French cuisine. He had escargot. This is the boy that will not eat celeriac, or will not eat Swede, or will not try these things, and was trying escargot in France. Who is he? And they just had a whale of a time, and they, played games, and they chatted, and they wandered, and they just, it was fabulous. So he came back full of it, which was wonderful. And his dad and I were just like that, because we'd spent 2 days solidly doing his bedroom, which looks brilliant. Is it my colour choice? No. I do actually really like the emerald green, and I'm probably going to take some of the paint that's left and I'm going to use it for the small room where I do my yarn chat on a Sunday, if you're around. So I reckon I am going to use that in that room, but not with the other colours. The husband might choose some of the blue and use that with another colour for his office. So the actual colours he chose were quite fabulous. Putting them all together, I think, is a bit much. However, he is thrilled, and he's like, doesn't want to leave his bedroom because it's kind of reflecting him more. Got new curtains, got new bedding. The lad is a happy man. Is he keeping it any cleaner? No. Was it a shock as to how dirty it was? Yes. So I'm going to have to be a lot more ruthless about the cleaning in there, because that was quite something. Yeah, it's so clean at the moment. Well, he's been back a couple of days, so it's not. But yeah, that's great. Yeah, that was great. And so yeah, caught you up with that. Tick, and then yeah, we've got to talk about it. The Alec Murdaugh trial. What? Who woke up Friday morning, and I was like, I'll just check to see what they're saying, because I thought, well, they're going to be... I didn't check before I went to bed. Did we watch stuff about it? Probably. I think we did. We listened to it and we watched stuff. And then the husband was brilliant. He let me listen to... We listened to the radio mainly on the Wednesday. And then we listened to a podcast in the morning, and then mainly radio. And then Thursday... He allowed me to listen to Death in the Clouds, Agatha Christie. He thoroughly enjoyed it as well. We listened to the nostalgic radio mystery. Was it nostalgic mystery radio podcast? We listened to Death in the Clouds. He was not so keen on John Moffat as Hercule Poirot, but I still think he's the best. For the kind of voice acting. And then a bit of radio, but it was interspersed with quite a lot of Murdaugh trial. Getting the husband up to speed with it, getting him ready to to get excited about it. He was superb, and let me watch an awful lot of it. Because it's not, I think it is. I was just sat there going, do you mind if I? And he's like, yeah, do it. And then Friday morning, woke up, just check, and the verdict was in. If you haven't been kept following the Alec Murdaugh trial, I totally understand it. But he was being tried for the murder of his son, 19-year-old son, 21-year-old son. 21-year-old son? He was 21 because he was 19 with the boat accident. So 21-year-old son and his wife of 26 years. So, long-term married. They were staying at the hunting lodge. Maggie and Paul were found shot near the kennels. And he was the last one to see them alive, and he was the husband, so there were all sorts of reasons why he was seen to be the killer. The verdict came in, and he was found guilty, and they came back in 3 hours. So it was a nearly 6-week trial, and they came back in 3 hours. I'm just saying that for the people that are not interested in this. It's stunning. So I literally said to the husband, the verdict's in. And we sat there and watched it. I actually knew that, because the title of the video told me that he'd been found guilty. We sat there watching it on my phone first thing in the morning with a cup of tea, just kind of like, what? And then, of course, I had to watch all the reaction. We watched the sentencing, found the sentencing when the sentencing was going to be on live, and we're like, oh. And we got it 2:30 in the afternoon. 2:30 in the afternoon. Quick, watch the sentencing. I think we were sorting the room out still, dressing the room. I'm all swimming and flying. Yeah, amazing. I mean, I personally, this is just my personal opinion. I'm a woman who lives in Cambridgeshire near Ely. I have got no experience in, crime detection. I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of books. I've watched a lot of programs. I've listened to a lot of podcasts. But other than that, zero experience. I think he did it. I just think he did it. I think he did it. I listened to a lot of the case. I listened to a lot of the evidence from multiple sources. I think he did it. I think they came back with the right verdict. I asked the husband on his limited understanding of the case and everything, and he said both of us would have understood a hung jury, but both of us would have thought, yeah, he's guilty. Yeah, just got to say it. So anyway, if you have a differing opinion, you're welcome to air it down below, or if you agree with me. I've had some fascinating comments on previous videos with people that have driven past Moselle. You drove past Moselle? That to me is like kind of, oh my gosh, and people that live down there and fascinating. So yeah, any comments, welcome, of course, respectful, and any comments on the case? Your opinion? Was it a good verdict? Was it a bad verdict? Where were you when you found out that they'd come back in 3 hours? Yeah, still watching. I said to the husband this morning, guess what I've been watching things about? And he said, let me have a look. Let me think about it. Yeah, Alec Murdaugh? And I was like, yeah. Still watching stuff, still. And this part of me thinks I might go back and actually watch the cross-examination, because I think you can still watch the cross-examination on Law and Crime. And it's really interesting that Law and Crime is the channel that people are using in other videos, because I think the coverage was so good. Yeah, just saying that as well. So, yeah. Have I done anything else? Oh, that's right. I finished this book. Hooray! Here we are on Wednesday Reads. Let's actually talk about some reading. Yes, I managed to finish the book. God, this was a slog for me. If you have read this book and you enjoyed it, great. That's great. It's not for me. I will not be reading any further the Atlas Paradox and the other ones in the series, because it's a trilogy with the Atlas 6 and the Atlas Paradox is obviously the second one. I don't know if the third one's out. I'm not interested. I found this a slog. I really did. It was actually putting me off reading, full stop. I don't consider myself in a reading slump. I'm not that kind of person. But I didn't fancy reading. It was a real effort to pick the book up. I only carried on reading it because I'd got so far. I just thought, I might as well find out what happens. I wasn't interested in the characters. I found the characters, for all their differences, very similar. So each of them have got, out of the 6 of them, 5 of them, there are 5 different types of magic that they have. Well, they're not called magic, they're called magicians, but it's kind of, it's mediums or something like that. The different kind of magic that they can use. And so you've got an empath, and you've got somebody that can see through illusion and can do more than that, sees reality differently. You've got 2 that can manipulate physical reality and can alter, and it's how sometimes their energy can work together, and they can share energy, and they can understand the forces of energy. And so there are all these kind of different fascinating ways. And somebody who's an empath, somebody who can read minds, and somebody who can actually literally read thoughts out of your head all the time unless you're shielding. There's all these different kind of things. Somebody that can read the future, and you'd think that would shape them differently, but they were all very similar in many ways and unpleasant. I didn't enjoy their company. I didn't root for, out of the 6 of them, 2 of them have got the same the same kind. They're kind of like seen as so similar, and they work together better. And you can tell by my enthusiasm, which is very low, that I really didn't. If you like it, brilliant, but it's not for me. I wouldn't recommend it. I suppose I'm glad I finished it. Well, I'm glad I finished it, but I suppose I'm glad I read it, because then I've at least read it. And it is a, sorry if you can hear the aeroplane going overhead. It's a bit loud. I suppose it's made me question young adult. Again, it is a little bit people coming into their own power, a little bit hero's own journey, and I'm not particularly keen on those stories. I'm also not overly keen on competitions, and there is an element of that. So those are two elements of the story that don't normally suit me, and again, it didn't. I thought it was like the secret society and the magic, I thought was going to be fascinating enough, and perhaps in a different author could have pulled something different out of it. Well, they would have done, of course they would, but would have shaped the characters in such a way that you could have felt some more for them. You could have connected with them. That's what I couldn't do. But however, if you enjoyed it and you read it and enjoyed it, then that's great. It wasn't for me. I'm not going to recommend it. Glad I finished it, because I don't have to read it again. So I shall keep it for a while, and then at some point I shall get rid of you. I shan't put you there. I shall put you there. Put you there where nobody can see you. In fact, put you on the floor. So I immediately thought about reading something else, and I was going to read that Peter May, and that is exactly what I am going to read soon, because I was sat in the lounge waiting for something. I can't remember. I think I was waiting to go into the kitchen to do something, and for some reason I was sat in the lounge. So I was looking at all of my 1920s, 30s and 40s crime, my golden age crime, which I keep in the lounge. And I was looking at those books, and they're not all written in there, but they're all evocative of that period. So they're all mysteries. They're all written about that time, or they're written either at that time or about that time. So my Agatha Christie's are there, Dorothy L. Sayers, my Patricia Wentworths. Then I've got my Laurie R. King is there, Jacqueline Winspear. Who else is it? She does Maisie Dobbs, doesn't she? What's the other one? Kate Shackleton Mysteries. Oh, Kate Shackleton Mysteries. So I was sat there looking at that, and then I spotted this range. So this is, and I've looked it up, Ngaio Marsh. I've always pronounced it incorrectly, but it's Ngaio. Is it Ngaio? Now you know. Ngaio. It is. Is it Ngaio? Yeah, I think it is Ngaio. Ngaio. Now you know. Now you know. Ngaio. Yeah, and that's it. I had to look it up. Then there was this handy way of remembering it, which I've managed to forget. Excellent. Menopausal woman. I can literally forget anything. Well, now I've forgotten where I was up to. That was a joke. I haven't really forgotten where I was up to. I was talking about Ngaio Marsh. And I was looking at these, and I think I've read some of them, but I haven't read all of them, and I haven't read them in a long time, to the point I can't remember them. And I was sat there looking at them, thinking, I could read one of those. And then I got them, I ordered them. I realised that sounds as though I'm a real nerd, and that I have to have my books in order. I do. And ex bookseller, I have to order my books. So I ordered them because they were all jumbled. I realised that I don't have the first 5 in this. I only have 7 in total. My mum has read all of them. She's no longer with us, but she had read all of them, and I've kept them. I definitely have read one or two, but I don't remember them. And I haven't read A Man Lay Dead, which is the first one. And in fact, I don't think I've read Enter a Murderer, which is the second one. So it makes me wonder how many of them I have actually read. So there is an author from the golden age of crime that I haven't read. I have some of them, but not all of them. So I went on the old internet to see whether I could get the first one in this edition, and I can't find it anywhere. I couldn't find it for any reasonable amount. Even looking on Book Depository. Book Depository does have a different kind of set, which I might go to. There are bind-ups where you can get the first three and then the second three. I don't like bind-ups. I don't particularly like bind-ups at all. So I have some Agatha Christie bind-ups, which I got from my mum and dad, but I would never buy a bind-up. It does work out to be financially, it is kind of cost-effective. However, I don't enjoy the experience of reading a bind-up. That's just my personal opinion. How do you feel? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Some people like them, some people don't. Tell me. How about you? So A Man Lay Dead. I charged up the old Kindle, which was well and truly out of any juice. That took ages to charge it up, and I downloaded A Man Lay Dead, and I'm 50% through it. Yeah? And I haven't read it for the last day because I've still been watching so much of the Alec Murdaugh stuff, but I am going to read it later. I reckon I can knock that out in a day or two. It's so good. Brilliant stuff. They are Chief Detective Inspector Allen mysteries. Yeah. Golden Age. The one I'm reading is set in a country house. Yes, it is. So it's a country house murder because it was a house party where they were going to play the game of murder. We're going to play the latest game, murder. And guess what? Somebody gets murdered. Found at the bottom of the stairs with a Mongolian sword in their back. I mean, if that isn't a cracking plot of a golden age novel, I don't know what it is. So I'm halfway through. I have no idea. Well, I have my suspicions as to who I think did it. I'm not going to say because I got it right, and then I've told you, I've led you astray, and you can't then read it with the same kind of verve that I'm reading it. So yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. So I'm reading a Ngaio Marsh. The first one, A Man Lay Dead. He is dead. He's at the bottom of the stairs. Well, he's been taken now. He's been taken out of the country house, but they've been all asked not to leave, and the butler has gone missing. It's just brilliant. I mean, it's not a classic for no reason. I mean, it's just great. Yeah. So I still have 4 more that I need to read before I can crack into the 7 I've got. So, do I get them on Kindle and then try and get them in this edition, or do I go for the cheaper editions? I don't know yet. We'll wait and see, but I am excited to read them, and for how much I've enjoyed the first one, I've got high hopes for carrying on and enjoying the series. I did consider actually listening to it as an audiobook, but I thought, no, I actually want the experience of reading with my eyes rather than reading with my ears. So I still have that I could, use one as an audiobook, but we'll see. But yeah. Right, looking at the time, I'm going to have to love you and leave you because I need to go and get the lad from school. So whilst this has been lovely and I'd love to carry on sitting talking to you, I can't because I need to go. So I need to go and get in the car and go and get the boy. It's not snowing now. It's not snowing, it's kind of just raining. It's just wet and horrible out there. So stay warm, stay wrapped up. Hope you're all well. Sending lots of love. And I shall see you on Sunday if you fancy a yarn chat. If not, I'll see you next Wednesday. Lovely. This has been lovely, BookTube. Let's do it again.